Welcome to Hinterkaifeck, a remote hamlet tucked away in the German countryside. The year is 1922, a time when the echoes of the Great War still lingered in the air, and the world was trying to find its footing once more. But for the residents of Hinterkaifeck, the year would forever be etched in their memories for a far more sinister reason. In this tranquil slice of rural life, 6 lives were brutally extinguished. The victims, the Gruber family, and their maid, individuals who, until their untimely deaths, led ordinary lives. But it wasn't just the brutality of the murders that sent tremors of unease through the community. It was the strange occurrences leading up to that fateful night that raised the hairs of even the most skeptical. There were footprints in the snow leading from the forest to the Gruber's homestead, but none leading back. Unexplained noises resonated from the attic, a chilling symphony of whispers and creaks, a sinister serenade that filled the night air, and the Gruber's keys, they vanished, as if spirited away by unseen hands. Yet, despite the mounting dread, no one could have envisioned the horrors that awaited within the Gruber's home. 6 lives snuffed out, leaving behind a chilling mystery that continues to perplex investigators and enthusiasts alike, even in this day and age. But what if I told you the story doesn't end with their deaths? No, my friends, our journey into the heart of this mystery is just beginning. For in the quiet corners of rural Europe, secrets seldom stay buried, and the ghosts of Hinterkaifeck are no exception. So, sit back and steel your nerves, for we're about to delve deeper into the shadows of this unsettling tale. Fast forward 4 days past the murders, to the moment of the grisly discovery. It was the 1st of April, 1922, in the small German hamlet of Hinterkaifeck. Lorenz Schlittenbauer, a neighbor and family friend, ventured to the remote farmstead, growing increasingly concerned after not seeing any of the Gruber family for some days. Upon arrival, a chilling silence hung over the property. The family's dog, tied up outside, wailing mournfully, was the only sign of life. Schlittenbauer, with a growing sense of dread, made his way into the barn, and there he found them. The bodies of Andreas Gruber, his wife Cecilia, their widowed daughter Victoria Gabrielle, and Victoria's 2 children. 7-year-old Cecilia and 2-year-old Joseph were all brutally murdered. Each one of them met a grisly end, their heads crushed by a mattock, a common farm implement, the bodies laid out in a horrific tableau, covered with hay. The sight was unnerving, a chilling testament to the brutality of the crime. The local police were alerted, and they began their investigation, navigating through the grim crime scene. The family was well liked, kept to themselves, and had no known enemies. The lack of any signs of struggle or forced entry suggested that the victims knew their killer, or at least trusted them enough to let them close. The lack of a clear suspect brewed a dark cloud of suspicion over the small community. Rumors swirled, whispers of secret affairs and unsettled debts filled the air, but no concrete evidence came to light. The killer, it seemed, had vanished without a trace, leaving behind only a chilling legacy of fear and unanswered questions. As the investigation continued, the police found the murder weapon, the mattock, cleaned and placed back in the tool shed as if nothing had happened. But something had happened. Something haunting and unimaginable. The scene was set, the victims were silent, but the mystery was only beginning to unfold. Let's rewind a bit to the days leading up to the massacre. In the quiet Bavarian landscape, the Gruber family home, Hinterkaifeck, began to resonate with peculiar incidents. They were subtle at first, almost negligible, like a whisper in the wind. Unfamiliar footprints were discovered in the snow, leading from the forest to the farmhouse, yet none leading back. The family heard strange noises in the attic, an eerie rustling that couldn't be explained. The whispers grew louder, more insistent. Mysterious figures were spotted at the edge of the forest, watching the house under the cloak of darkness. But the most unsettling of all was the disappearance of the house keys. Searched high and low, they were nowhere to be found. These incidents, once brushed off as mere oddities, would soon take a sinister turn. The whispers of the past were growing louder, more urgent. It was as if the house itself was whispering warnings of the horror to come. Jumping forward again, the investigation was in full swing, casting long shadows of suspicion. Those long shadows reached far and wide, sweeping across the quiet town and the tightly knit community. Theories swirled around like an ominous wind, each more chilling than the last. The first suspect in this grim tale was a neighbor, a man known for his temper and bitter grudges. There was talk, whispers really, about a falling out over property lines or a stolen horse. Could he have been driven to such extreme measures in a fit of rage? Then there was the dark possibility of a wandering vagrant, a faceless menace moving from town to town, leaving a trail of fear in his wake. One who may have seen the remote Hinterkaifeck farm as an easy target. After all, what better place for a criminal to strike than a secluded homestead, far from prying eyes? And finally, we arrive at the most chilling theory of all, a supernatural entity, the ghost of Hinterkaifeck. The locals whispered about strange occurrences, eerie noises in the night, and an inexplicable chill that would creep up on you when you least expected it. Was it possible that the family had been targeted by a restless spirit, seeking vengeance for an unknown wrong? Each suspect, each theory, seemed plausible. Yet, as the investigators dug deeper, they found themselves tangled in a web of contradictions and dead ends. The vengeful neighbor had an alibi. The wandering vagrant left no trace. And the supernatural entity, well, that was harder to pin down. The more they searched for answers, the more elusive they became. Every clue, every lead seemed to dissolve into thin air, just like the victims themselves. It was as if the truth was a specter, haunting them, taunting them, always just out of reach. Yet despite the growing shadows, the truth seemed to slip further into the darkness. Back to the days before the murders, the house seemed to echo with unseen presences. A cold shiver of dread would often run down the spines of the Gruber family, for it seemed they were never alone in the Hinterkaifeck farmstead. In the dead of night, the eerie silence of the countryside was broken by unexplainable sounds, the creaking of old floorboards, the rustling of unseen entities. Footsteps echoed in the attic, a slow, steady rhythm that seemed to mimic the beating of a fearful heart. The Grubers searched high and low, but found no cause for the phantom noises. Yet the footsteps continued, a haunting, nocturnal symphony that only grew louder with each passing night. The family's disquiet was further fueled by the sight of strange figures, ghostly apparitions that seemed to appear and disappear at will. The children whispered about the shadowy man who stood at the edge of the forest, watching their home with unseen eyes. Their mother, Victoria, often spoke of a spectral woman in white who would wander through the house, her mournful gaze always fixed on the cradle of her youngest child. Other eerie incidents plagued the family too. Tools would vanish only to reappear in the most unlikely places. Doors would slam shut with no one around. Lights would flicker and die, plunging the house into darkness. It was as if the house itself was alive, its ancient bones groaning with the weight of untold secrets. And yet, amidst all this, life went on. The family worked the fields, broke bread together, and held on to each other a little tighter each night. Fear became a constant companion, but so did hope. Hope that the eerie occurrences were merely the product of their overactive imaginations, that life would soon return to normal. But the echoes of the unseen would not be silenced. As the days turned into weeks, the strange occurrences escalated, growing more intense, more sinister. The Hinterkaifeck farmstead was no longer just a house. It was a living, breathing entity, a silent witness to the terror that unfolded within its walls. As the echoes of the unseen grew louder, the family's fate was sealed. As we leap forward once more, the mystery of Hinterkaifeck begins to unravel. The days following the grisly discovery were filled with tireless investigations. Authorities combed through every inch of the farmstead, picking apart clues and piecing together a chilling, albeit incomplete, picture of what transpired. Despite the tireless efforts, the case proved to be a labyrinth of dead ends. The lack of a definitive answer only served to fuel the enduring fascination with the case. Over the years, countless theories have sprung up, each one attempting to shed light on the chilling mystery. From disgruntled neighbors to vengeful spirits, the list of potential culprits is as varied as it is unsettling. In the mid-2020s, the case experienced a resurgence in popular interest. Armchair detectives, fueled by the advent of the internet, took it upon themselves to crack the case. Yet much like their predecessors, they found themselves ensnared in the web of confusion and speculation. A century has now passed since the dreadful night. The farmstead has long since been demolished, and the victims laid to rest. Yet the echoes of their untimely demise continue to reverberate. The ghostly whispers of Hinterkaifeck have refused to fade into obscurity. Instead, they've cemented their place in the annals of true crime and paranormal lore. The Hinterkaifeck murders, a mystery wrapped in an enigma, continue to captivate and confound. The lack of closure, the unanswered questions, the eerie circumstances, they all contribute to the chilling allure of this unsolved case. It's a haunting reminder of the darkness that can lurk in the most unsuspecting of places. In spite of the countless hours spent in investigation, the numerous theories proposed, and the relentless pursuit for truth, a definitive answer remains elusive.